Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's January 13th of 2023. This is a Friday. This makes it Friday the 13th, an unlucky day. I think it depends on what, country, what part of the world, what nationality they could. I don't think everywhere is 13 unlucky on a Friday the 13th. I think it varies with things. And I don't, I'm not, that doesn't bother me. But I went to my cardiologist today. I have a checkup with him in person once a year. I have a device here in my room that monitors my heart all the time, and if something goes wrong, it sends the data into, the cardiologist. I'm not sure if it goes to the cardiologist's office or if it goes to a main computer someplace that connected, how that goes. But it goes there. And then 3 times a year, the cardiologist has it set up to, automatically take all the data from my pacemaker. And once a year, he sees me in person. And I saw him today. I like him. And it's, the cardiac group of doctors or whatever, they seem really nice. He, everything checked out. My pacemaker still has, 10 years, although I think it's been more than, when did I have my second pacemaker put in? Anyway, it still has, the battery is still 10 years to go. I asked him, by the way, for the first time, because he mentioned from the very beginning, like over 10 years ago when he put the first one in, and when he put it in and, it was tested out and all that kind of stuff, he said, that it's, I forget how he put it, medical terminology or whatever, but that my pacemaker was going, 100% and doing everything. And I asked him before, but then this time I asked him, because he said again, and I said, so my pacemaker is, running 100%. So if I had a problem and the pacemaker wasn't running, would I just drop over, dead or whatever? And he said, well, probably not. He says that, and I forget what he called it, something that we have, even though, my heart is being told by the pacemaker, hey, keep beating. He said that there's some innate something in the human body or the system or whatever that in a minute or a half or two, it would kick in. Now, it's not going to be as good because there's a problem, with my heart. But it would kick in a minute and a half or two. And then I said, so I probably shouldn't be a acrobat or in a cage with a wild animal or something I'm supposed to be controlling or something. I said something like that, and he said, no, probably not a good idea. He said, but you probably would kick in and, your system would kick in in an hour and a half. It wouldn't be as good as the pacemaker. He said also, he says the pacemakers are remarkable. They have, they are just so dependable, considering everything. And it's just remarkable how little problem there is with a pacemaker. So, I My blood pressure today was 156 over 72. That's a little bit high, I guess. And my BMI, I think that's, is that a weight thing? It's, I don't know what it is, 30.96. My weight is 222 pounds. I'm 5'11". My pulse rate was 88. My oxygen saturation is 98%. By the way, I have no medical training, so none of this is medical advice. They have a list of my medications here. COVID-19 is caused by a virus called SARS-CoV-2. First appeared in 2019 and quickly spread around the world. There are now multiple variations of the COVID-19 that may spread or affect people differently. What are the symptoms? The most symptoms common of COVID-19 are fever, cough, headache, fatigue, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, nausea, and diarrhea. Other symptoms are signs of serious illness. If someone has trouble breathing, chest pains, or pressure, or difficulty staying awake, get medical care immediately. Important ways to slow the spread: get a COVID-19 vaccination. If already vaccinated, get the booster when recommended by the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. Wear a good quality mask that covers your nose and mouth to help protect you and others. The mask should be at a minimum should have a nose wire in 2 layers. It should not have vents for venting. Avoid crowds and poorly ventilated indoor spaces. Wash your hands often with soap and water. Use hand sanitizer. See, what do you do if you're sick? Stay home for 5 days and isolate from others in your home. Most people with COVID-19 have mild illness and can recover at home without medical care. Do not leave your home except to get medical care. Do not visit public areas and do not go places where you are unable to wear a mask. Take care of yourself. Get rest. Stay hydrated. That means, drinking water or whatever hydrates you and doesn't affect your vital signs. Now, what's that from the movie? One flew over the cuckoo's nest. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Take over-the-counter medications such as aspirin to help you feel better. Stay in touch with your doctor. Call before you get medical care. Be sure to get care immediately by calling 911 if you have trouble breathing, pain or pressure in your chest, new confusion or inability to wake or stay awake. Do not travel and avoid public transportation, ride sharing or taxis if possible. As much as possible, stay in a specific room and away from other people and pets in your home. If possible, you should use a separate bathroom. If you need to be around other people or animals or in the outside, wear a well-fitting mask. Tell your close contacts that may have been exposed to COVID-19. An infected person can spread COVID-19 starting 48 hours or 2 days before the person has any symptoms or tests positive by letting your close contacts know that they may have been exposed to COVID-19. You're helping them to protect everyone. Monitor your symptoms. Symptoms of COVID-19 include fever, cough, or other symptoms. If possible, monitor your oxygen levels and call your PCP if your oxygen levels drop for an extended period of time. By the way, I have a pulse ox thing. I think it costs like $14. I'd recommend that you get one. And it goes on your finger. And good thing to have around. Let's see. I'll put a link to one or two underneath there that you can get from Amazon. I think I can put the same one that I got, which seems to work fine. Monitor your symptoms. Okay, I already mentioned that. Follow care instructions from your healthcare provider and local health departments. Your local health authorities may give instructions on checking your symptoms and reporting information. When to seek emergency medical attention. Look for emergency warning signs, which are trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, and confusion, new confusion. I'm confused all the time, so that's not new. What else here? Oh, also, inability to wake or stay awake. Pale, gray, or blue-colored lips, skin, nail beds. This list is not all possible symptoms. Please call your medical provider for any other symptoms that are severe or concerning you. Call 911 or call ahead to your local emergency facility. Notify the operator that you are seeking care for someone who has or may have COVID-19. That way they'll send an ambulance with the ambulance crew that they like the less. I'm teasing, of course, you know. Is he really teasing? When to isolate. Regardless of vaccination status, you should isolate yourself from others when you have COVID-19. You should also isolate if you are sick and suspect that you may have COVID-19, but do not have test results. Positive test results, you need to follow the full instructions, isolation recommendations below. I'm going to skip those. If you've had symptoms, I'm going to skip those. Ending isolation. If you had a positive test but no symptoms, you may end isolation after day 5 or day 6 after testing. If you had symptoms and your symptoms are improving, you may end isolation after 5 days. If you are fever-free for 24 hours without medications and your symptoms are not improving, continue to isolate until you are fever-free for 24 hours without medications. Okay, I'm going to skip this. If you had symptoms. By the way, if you find a good, I don't know where they got this, where they printed this out. But if you find something like this, a very small, a very concise thing. I'll put the link below, and we'll have it here, you know. Let's see. Okay, this is new subject. Upcoming health maintenance. What is it? Is this the, see, Pacemaker vaccine, 65 plus years? Is that the pneumonia vaccine? Anyway. I should have a diabetic annual foot exam yearly. I should have a wellness visit if over 65 years of age. I'm 81, by the way. A COVID vaccine booster for Pfizer series. I should have a diabetic retina exam by an eye doctor yearly. I have a couple cataracts, by the way, but I think it's been a couple years since I had the eye exam. But they are small and they're located really out of my vision area, really. I am a visionary. Influenza vaccine, A1C for diabetes every 6 months. Fasting lipids yearly. I don't know what that is. See, diabetic kidney evaluation yearly. Fall risk screening yearly. Depression screening yearly. And then something else here, which I don't know what it is. Actually, I'm mistaken on this because these last 2 or 3 here, the thing was like saying, you know, overdue and blah, blah, blah. But this is saying a date. So this last one says I should have it August 3rd of 2028. I'm 81. I'm not sure I'm going to be alive in 2028. Okay. Got that out of the way. And it only took 18 minutes. There again, if you know of a good, you know, maybe something even better than that. Of course, this thing was printed out specifically for me, because as you can tell by the thing, some of them tell me what year I have to have it or should have it. So, hot cocoa. I don't drink Coke all the time. I do. I drink Coke all the time. What else? Where is that thing? There it is. Chat. No, that's not it. Did I get rid of it? Oh, no, that is it. What is that called, too? You know, this was installed in one of the recent Windows updates, and it's tied in with Skype. I'm not sure Skype still exists, but they exist. And it's a pain in the butt. I tried just like clicking on it, and you know, it's a thing tied in with chatting, and that type of thing. Maybe a good idea, you know, because of homeschooling and all that type of stuff, things that go on. But it's also a pain in the butt. It interferes with. Now I saw some YouTube videos on how to get rid of it, and it's kind of a pain to get rid of it. I think I might have stuck with all the very short videos on YouTube on how to get rid of this thing. But see, it doesn't do any good to go and like right click on it. It says chat. And, okay, maybe I did get rid of it. It's still there though. No, okay, there it is. You click on it. And it's a chatting system that you can use for one person, or it's also, I think, called Meet Now. I think that's part of the name of it, or the name, or whatever. But I don't like it. It interferes with my cameras in a way. And so, don't like it. If you come up with some way, and like, I looked at some of the videos, the people were barely audible, and they were talking kind of fast. And I know I've had a lot of complaints that I talk fast and I repeat myself. Yes, because this YouTube aimed at people like me that are kind of slow. So, because I was having to try to watch these things, like they said something or whatever, and they show something on the screen. There's a bunch of stuff on the screen, and then they go to the next one or whatever. And I thought, But so if you happen to find somebody who does it very simply, because there was 3 or 4 different ways apparently to get rid of it. I haven't gotten rid of it. So, in a few days I go to my regular doctor, and I need to go to a dentist, so I'm going to ask my regular doctor to recommend somebody that's in my area and that also uses the same charting system, or the same, let me show you here, let's see, medical, that uses the same my chart system, because my provider uses this system, my cardiologist uses this system, my test results and things go immediately, as soon as they draw the blood or do whatever they do, I can see the results right away. And as I mentioned in one video, and I think more than one video, when I was in the hospital for 6 days and I left AMA against medical advice, I was shocked. I said, oh, okay, well, of course the nurse wanted, please sign the AMA form, against medical advice form. And I spent 30 years working hospital security. I was involved, I don't know how many times, in situations like that. And a lot of times the nurses were wrong and whatever. But in all those 30, anyway, I left the hospital AMA, but I did sign the form. You don't have to. No matter what they tell you, you don't have to sign. But they like for you to, and some port, the nurse that's in charge of a unit or the whole hospital or whatever wants so bad to have that, to be able to put it on your chart and have it there available, that you were told, that, hey, you're leaving against medical advice, and, we're not responsible if you go out and, collapse or whatever happens. You're leaving against medical advice. I went ahead and signed. I knew how important it was to the nurse. And then I said, oh, by the way, the medicine that I've been taking for 7 days, what's the name of that? And I said, the other thing is, what's the name of the medicine that when you were injecting it in the IV, we found out that did not work on. I didn't, that. I said, what's the name of that so I can make sure. So every time I see a doctor or whatever, they always ask, what are you allergic to or had a reaction to, and I can say that. And the nurse, and she was a real nice nurse. She said, we don't give you that information. Oh, and I asked too, just a few hours before I left AMA, several doctors, urologists had come through, and so this one came through, and I said, doctor, where's your office? And he said, West Fort Worth. And I said, that's where I live, West Fort Worth. I said, will you be my doctor? And he said, fine, love to. And he says, I'll tell the nurses and have them put it on the chart that, and I said, great, thank you very much. So anyway, then I asked, here I'm leaving AMA, and the nurse says, well, we don't give you that information. We don't give you any information. And I can't believe that. I never heard that in 20 years. So, I don't recommend that you leave AMA unless, there's, I'm not recommending that you leave unless there's, unless there's a real serious reason that you think you do have to leave. And then I would say, don't be like me. I give but it is ridiculous. And I thought about, there's a thing called the Joint Commission that inspects hospitals, all hospitals. I think every 2 years they come in, and every year, or every time, when they're doing it, when they start their thing where they're doing it, they put together a team of, 5, 6, 7 people, and they go out. And of course the hospitals know, their hospital associations, they contact all the other hospitals. The Joint Commission is, is making their rounds, and here are the 2 or 3 extra things that this time, this is their thing they're specializing on. Make sure you have that right. Working hospital security, one, we had to watch for these people to show up, make sure that they got, if they needed living quarters or whatever, and find parking spots and whatever, that kind of stuff. But then we also knew a lot of times what they were going to be looking, extra special at this time. It was like one time I remember it was charting. That was a big thing. So they had extra people, and that's what they were, One time it was dietary and that type of stuff, and they, they were coming in, these are professionals and doctors and stuff like that, and they were coming in, I guess, sticking their finger up the spout where the juice or the Coke or something comes out of, that type of stuff. So, but I can't believe that the Joint Commission would stand by and have a patient not being told, hey, what medicines have I been giving since I've been getting, but and who's my doctor, and a whole bunch of stuff. I can't believe that. So I think this hospital, which is a fine hospital, and I liked all the people, well, not all of them, but I can't believe that. I think they're wrong about that. I thought about going, just contacting the Joint Commission, but I figure by now somebody has straightened it out, because that's, I could do what did I do that before? Here, hang on a second. Why don't we just do this? Let's go to YouTube. Let's see. When a patient leaves a hospital, AMA, against medical advice, are they given information. I'm not sure that's going to turn up what I'm looking for. I'm sure they're going to give in okay, let's see. Okay, this is going to be okay, let's just look at this. Discharged against medical advice in which a patient chooses to leave the hospital before the treatment physician recommends his discharge continues to be a common and vexing problem. This article reviews the prevalence, cost, predictors, and potential interventions for this clinical problem. Between 1%, you know what I should do? This shouldn't be. I'm going to make a video on this now. So I'm going to end this video that I just made. This is a bad habit I have of putting things together. And I made a video with some information that might be helpful to people, and this needs to be a separate video. So thank you very much for watching.